customer comfortable? They met the salesperson, warm and friendly. Met the manager, warm and friendly. The showroom's busy. They're feeling good about where they're at. We have all their information. We've done an interview. They met with the person who's talking to the bank. Is that right? The person who's representing them to get the loan. They've already spoken to that person. Now they're waiting because they know we're making progress. Now they're thinking, wow, I've been to 3 dealerships. At this dealership, I've already met the manager. I've already met the person talking to the bank. My salesperson's warm and friendly. This is different. Now here comes that nice manager that they met when they came in. It was like the maitre d' of a restaurant, making sure that everything was good. That nice manager comes over and says, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we have great news for you. We found a lender that's really willing to work with you. Now, these lenders that we work with are pretty flexible, but there's a few things that they're really strict on. Now, one of the things that they're really strict on is how much money they're going to let us borrow. You see, they only want to loan a certain percentage of book value, which is a good thing because you don't want to borrow more than what the vehicle's worth anyway. And the customers always agree with that, of course. And then now the other thing that they're really strict on is the payments. We want to keep your payments as low as we can. Now, we already know that the average payment's about $450. It's between $399 and $499. Now, if you're looking at SUVs, trucks, or more expensive vehicles, we know that these payments can get pretty high these days, can't they? And what would every single customer say? Yeah, y'all's payments are high. Now, were you looking for something with enough room in it for you, good on gas? Or were you looking for more like a SUV or more expensive vehicle? Now, at this point, it doesn't matter what they budget for. At this point, it doesn't matter how much money they make. It doesn't matter what their beacon score is. What am I doing here? What am I doing with the customer? What is it? I'm counseling. I'm selling them on the program. I'm selling them on the dream. I already know if I don't do this part, they're going to say, I want an SUV and I want to be at $300 a month. Or I want an SUV and I want to be at $200 a month. But instead, when they brought up anything on payment, I bypassed it. Well, what are my payments? What are my payments going to be? Am I going to get the $99 a month? Actually, it's one of our most popular programs, and we do still have it going on. As a matter of fact, we've been selling a lot of vehicles from it. By the way, I wanted to ask, were you wanting something in a 5-speed or automatic? Well, I wanted a automatic, but based on what you were saying, I'm open to a 5-speed. Or if they say automatic, well, if I find some vehicles out there that may work for you that is a 5-speed, would you like me to rule that out or still keep it open? No, don't rule it out. What did I just do? I opened it up. I'm getting ready to set this customer up to get them on the right vehicle for them and their family. I'm going to communicate with the desk because I'm the sales manager at this point. Remember this? This wasn't the salesperson doing the setup. We didn't set this deal up to win with the salesperson. The salesperson took them from the lot to the office. A finance manager did the interview. A sales manager did the setup. Do you see how this works together? Now, at this point, the customer says, well, I was thinking SUV, but I don't want my payments to be like $700 a month or $800 a month either. So, I mean, we might settle. At this point right here, well, the main thing is, so we're going to do 2 things for you. Number 1, we're going to help you get your credit reestablished. Number 2, we're going to help you increase your credit score. The good news is if you do drive something and have a good payment history going, later on in the future, you can get what you really want. And don't lie to the customer. Because every time that we say, well, just keep it 6 months and you can come back and trade it in, they know we're lying. You guys know that they can't trade that vehicle in 6 months, don't you? Listen, you don't need to lie to sell cars. What you need to do is tell them the truth because the truth sells. It adds credibility and it's just right. And if you're telling them whatever you need to tell them just to get them behind the wheel, you're not a salesperson anyway. You're a beggar. Let's tell them the truth. Now, if you keep the vehicle for 24 months, 36 months, get a good payment history, you'll be able to trade it in and get something you really like. Now, keep in mind, vehicles do depreciate. Am I telling them the truth? Are they going to respect that? Vehicles do depreciate. So keep in mind, maybe you can come back at tax time, something like that, save some money down. Or maybe we can get you on something with a rebate and help you trade that vehicle in and get into something else. I know the most important thing to you right now is to get your credit established, isn't it? What would every single customer say sitting in front of you if they don't have perfect credit? They will say yes. You see, we were taught to do three things in the car business, to sell three things in the car business. We were taught to sell ourselves, we were taught to sell the dealership, and we were taught to sell a product. The one thing that we don't do every time consistently is sell the dream, sell the program. Now this customer, when I go out on the lot with this customer and we look at a vehicle, now they're going to kind of understand the process. Does this make sense? But if I just took them from hello, how you doing, take them out to look at cars, we already know what's going to happen. They're going to want to be on too much vehicle with the very low payment. But now that they're set up, what happens if, let's say they budget for $700 a month, and they said they wanted something smaller because they didn't want the payment. But they got out on a lot, and they said, what about this one over here? Oh, well, that SUV, that's a very nice SUV, but keep in mind what we talked about a little bit ago. I mean, if you'd like to go to that, we can, but it's going to be a little bit more. Is that something that you want to look at? And if they say something like, well, yeah, I deserve it. What did the customer just do? They bumped themselves. Or did they? Or did we bump them? Because we set the stage. You see, everything we do matters. Everything that we say to the customer is either moving you closer to a deal or further away from a deal. Now, I know we talked about, Helmy said yesterday, you get 3 vehicles to go out on the lot and show the customer. Should we show them the best vehicle first? Yes or no? Okay. Should we try to just show them one vehicle that makes the most gross for the dealership? Yes or no? No, you don't have to. But you know what you can do? Create urgency. Hey, based on everything that you've told us and what the bank is allowing us to do, with these aggressive financing programs, we found some vehicles out there that will work really well for you. There's one in particular that I really wanted you to see before we go any further. I'll be right back. I'm going to pull it up. By the time you step up, they're jumping out of their seat to go after that car. They're jumping out of their seat when you go for that car. Now, when you go get the car, they're like, what is it? Well, I'm going to get it. I'll be right back. And you go out there and get that vehicle and pull it up. Then you do your walk around. Now, when we do our walk around, is that the only vehicle that exists? Should we sell it like it's the only one on the planet if they like it? We should sell it. I mean, we have to do a feature, advantage, and benefit walk around. After we do our walk around, we take them on a demo. Now, do we ask them to demo or assume? We assume. And after we take them on the demo drive, we're going to come back into the dealership and we're going to start closing. Is that right? Right at the end of the demo. And the easiest close that you can use is the assumptive close. Just assume that they're going to what? Assume that they're going to buy it. So we say, hey, it looks like we found the perfect car that's going to help you and your family get, it sounds like we found the perfect car for you and your family. And this is really going to help you get your credit established. Now, did you want something hot or cold to drink while we wrap this up? If they say cold, what are they saying? They're ready to wrap it up. Or they could say, I don't like it. Great, no problem. Why don't you pull right in here? We'll find one you do like. You know, it's not like time out. We got to get them on that car. They're a bogue. They can't. It's not about all that kind of stuff. You'll sell more cars if you treat them like people. So now, when we go back inside the dealership, we walk them through service. And after we walk them through service, we come back into the showroom and we reestablish the relationship with the customer. We talk about everything but the vehicle. Why? Because fear's showing up. What do most salespeople do? Come on inside, let's go see what we can figure out. Let's go crunch numbers. Let's get to the paperwork. It's not about that. Let's just reestablish our relationship. And then we'll excuse ourselves. Hey, you know what? Let me go make sure that this vehicle is still available. I'll be with you in just a moment. Excuse yourself. That's when you go to the desk for the pencil. You already got the commitment. If you said it sounds like you found a perfect car, would you like something hot or cold to drink? They said cold. That means they want to buy the vehicle. They might ask you something like, well, what are the payments going to be? Well, we'll get to that in just a second. But they're committed on the vehicle. Now, is it easier to work a deal when they're committed on the vehicle or not committed? committed. There's no way that you can have a powerful negotiation if they're not committed on the vehicle. If they haven't taken mental ownership, if they have not taken mental ownership, it's not time to work numbers. So, okay, we just excused ourselves, and we went back to the sales desk to check and see if the vehicle's available. We came back with the good news. The vehicle is still available. We're looking at an 07 model. We're paying off your trade. The bank likes to see 25 to 33% down. That's going to be somewhere between 42.31 and 56.22 down. Now, with that amount of money down on an accelerated payment plan, which is equity-based, means you can pay the vehicle off quicker. Your payment will be $499 to $529. $499 for an Escort? But I saw the ad and it's $0 down, $99 a month. Well, the way the $0 down, $99 a month works is for the first 3 months, we make the payment for you. You're only responsible for the $99. Well, what happens after that? Then it'll resume to its regular payment. Okay, but there are some other options available for you. Let me show you. And then we go right back to our Foursquare. And we say, now, I may be able to get the payment down a little bit if you go with another option. Now, did you want to put down the 42 or the 53? I don't have that kind of money down. I don't have any money down at all. Well, the good news is the lender we're working with, they don't need any money down. As a matter of fact, they said that they would finance the whole thing at 100%. The only thing you're responsible for is your tax tag and fees. Now, keep in mind, the more you put down, the lower your payment's going to be. Can you do $4,200? Oh, I don't have $4,200. How many times have I asked for down payment so far? I don't have $4,200. And that payment looks a little bit high. Okay, well, this is on an accelerated payment plan. Maybe we can get it a little bit longer for you and lower the payment. If I can get it worked out somewhere around the mid-4s, could you come up with $1,000 if you had to? I don't know if I have $1,000. I want to do it with 0. Well, actually, we are getting it done with 0. I don't even think $1,000 would cover your tax tag and fees. Typically, on a vehicle like this, it's about $1,000 to $1,200. But I can see if I can get it done with $1,000. Can you put $1,000 down? Well, I have $500. Imagine that. We get the $500. We go back to the desk. We have 4 60s on a payment. We have a signed commitment. We'll buy right now for $500 down, $450 a month. Now we go to the sales desk to our manager and say, here's your commitment. Well, what do you got there? I got a buyer. I might need a little bit of bump. But they love Daryl, the sales manager that met him how many times already? Twice. And Daryl's busy running around the showroom helping other people. That really nice guy that they met, you remember, when they first got there? He comes over and says, hey, it looks like these guys got something worked out. Congratulations. I can't believe we got it all final for you. It looks like we're really close on the deal. Looks like we're really close on a deal. And I go in for the what? I go in for the bump. Listen, if you can't bump them, they're not a customer. If you cannot bump them, they're not a customer. If we did a good job, if they like us, they're listening to us, and they believe us, they'll bump. If you didn't, you might bump them, but you're not holding any gross. Okay, so at this point we go down, we finish the deal off, but hold on a second. Let's just say we got the bump, we didn't get any more money down, but we got it done like that, we found a trade, I don't know, there's so many scenarios, right, when we're working a deal. Well, let's just say we wrap the deal up, okay? And when it's all said and done, what are we going to do? Write it up. The manager on the desk is like, okay, you guys get that deal together, let's get them to finance. Let's not go any further, let's just get this thing wrapped up and get them in finance. We say, okay, we'll do that. Go down for one more bump right before you put them in, and it goes like this. Here it is. You ready for this? It's $500 on on 50% of the deals you work if you use it. And if you learn it and master it, we don't have time today to master it. You'll have to come back to the 2-day workshop next month where all we do is the process. Well, I mean, there's no way to cover all this information in 45 minutes. I mean, I just walked you through a whole entire sales process on Lightspeed. Now, and remember, in here, we're just aware of it. That doesn't mean we haven't mastered. How do we master any skill? Practice, drill, rehearse. Repetition, repetition, repetition. And the only way that you can get it down on how to teach it to your salespeople is to learn it yourself. Now, let's say it's wrapped up. We're going down for one more bump. Good news. Congratulations. We got everything worked out for you. My manager said that you wouldn't let $10 stand in the way of us doing business. Congratulations. We wrap it up. What's $10 do to your gross? How much? Who believes that would work? 50% of the time. 50% of the time. Now, what's the alternative? My manager said that you wouldn't let $10 stand in the way of us doing this. Congratulations, we got it wrapped up. Oh, yes, I would. I'm getting on out of here. I told you I'm not going a penny over that. Well, that's exactly what I told him. Congratulations. That's exactly what I told him. I knew you'd say that. You know, you've been hard on me all day. I'm so glad we got this worked out for you, family. We're going to get all the rest of the paperwork done. You just relax. Let us do the work. We already got the vehicle on the way to clean up. It'll just be a few moments. Now we go back to the sales desk and do what? We get another up. Now, did I pre-qualify? Did I ever ask them how much they owed on their trade? Did I ever say, where do you want your payments to be? What's your payoff? Did I ask any of those questions? No, we have to eliminate them from our vocabulary. It's not where do you want your payments to be. It's I'm sure you want your payments as low as possible. Is that right? They'll just say yes. Take them through the process. You see, when we ask these questions, and this hasn't happened yet, we're blowing people out right here. This is where we're blowing people out. This is where we're blowing people out. It doesn't matter what dealership I go in, whether it was our dealership or whether we're in another dealership, whether I'm in South Dakota, whether I'm in South Carolina, Kentucky, or whether I'm in Arizona. It doesn't matter. We're losing deals right there. They don't even like us. And we're explaining to them how our hook works in the very beginning. Does this make sense at all? We don't take them through the process. And the only way that you can get back to these basics in our time today is by following a process that works, that's tried, it's proven. Your closing ratio will go through the roof. By the way, if you did sell a vehicle like a Focus or a Forenza at 470s, is that pretty good gross or low gross? Is that good gross or bad gross? That's good gross. 72, man. It was a 495 Beacon. It was a C-call through drive, waived income. But hold on a second. How can you get a C-call through drive and waive income on a 495 Beacon? I don't know. It's happening everywhere right now. A lot of dealerships won't even send that deal to the bank. You know why? Because they're too busy telling their salesperson, go get a real customer. And tell that BDC to quit lying. Is that true or false? We got to get our process better. It's not the BDC. If it wasn't for the BDC, we wouldn't have any traffic. Because 10 years ago, what did we complain about? The advertising. That dumb ad brings them in here. Is that right? Yes or no? And now we blame it on the BDC. What's next? Who are we going to blame next? We're going to blame everybody and everyone who we can so we don't have to look in the mirror and say, it's me. That's what we're going to do unless you do something about it, unless you get the skill, unless you practice, drill, and rehearse. If you don't spend 20 minutes a day on your skills, how are you going to teach it to your salespeople? If you don't spend 20 minutes on your attitude every day, how do you expect your salespeople to have a good attitude? If you don't spend 20 minutes on your product if you don't know your product, how would you expect your people to know your product? But hold on a second, Daryl. You said that it's not all about the product. It's about people. Well, you're right. But if you don't know your product, is there going to be a disconnection with the people? Yes or no? Of course there is. We got to step up to the mirror. We've got to get better so we can teach better. That's what it comes down to. The pace of the pack is determined by the leader, not by the pack. The tail can't wag the dog. It doesn't work. But we got to get good first. You know what my goal was with my salespeople? My goal was I'm going to know it so good that not one salesperson can stump me. Because we used to play Stump the Chump. Did we play Stump the Chump, Helmy? We played it constantly. Did we play Stump the Chump, Bill? We're walking around to salespeople. They don't even know where we're coming from. How much is it? Well, my used car manager handles all the prices on those vehicles, and I'll be happy to get that for you as soon as he's free. By the way, I wanted to ask, when you spoke to the nice person on the phone, did she ask you to bring in like a check stub or a phone bill? What are my payments going to be? Well, that's probably one of the easiest parts of my job. My business manager will handle that, and we'll get to it in just a moment. I wanted to ask you, are you going to be putting in your name or you and your wife's? Well, it's going to be in mine. What's my trade worth? Well, as far as your trade-in, we're going to give you the fair market value, and we'll get to that in a moment with the used car manager. I wanted to ask you, were you looking for something pretty much like your trade, or did you want something a little bit different this time? I want to think about it. Well, I understand. You do like the car, don't you? Well, yeah. Well, when you say you want to think about it, was it the vehicle, the make, the model, equipment, or was it really just the price? Well, it's the price. Okay, well, that's cool. Well, y'all going to be writing out a check or making payments? Well, we're going to be making payments. Well, it pretty much sounds like you're kind of like me and everyone. You're on a budget, am I right? Well, yeah. Well, if we fiddle with the figures and get it to fit into your budget, is there any other reason why you wouldn't want to do it right now? Well, no, not if it fit in our budget. Well, come on inside. Let's see if we can get worked out. But I got to talk to my wife. Well, other than you talking to your wife, is there another reason why you wouldn't want to do it? Well, no, if I talk to her, I'd do it. Well, come on, man. You said you looked at 5 of them already, didn't you? Well, yeah. And earlier you did say time was money. Well, yeah. Well, if you go to this dealership and that dealership, aren't you really losing money instead of saving money? Come on, let's get the shopping behind us. And they come inside and they see the evidence manual and this process because it works. How can you fail? That's how you go from 100 units a month to 200. That's how you go from 200 units to 300. That's how you go from 300 to 400. That's what separates a 10-car guy and a 20-car guy. That's what separates a guy who's selling 20 with no skill because he's tenacious and has persistence, and you take that guy to 30. That's what we're talking about. Gross and units. Not just units and not just gross. And the only way you can do this is by mastering it. Practice, drill, and rehearse. Practice, drill, and rehearse.